Hey guys, welcome back to SUP'S Garage. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to do a front wheel alignment if you happen to hit a pothole or a curve, anything that will cause the forks to misalign with each other. This method should work for most bikes out there. And what we have here for the first time, a 2017 Gixxer 1000, which by the way are really fun to ride. But let's go ahead and get started with the video. So right now, the wheel's completely straight, and it's going to be a little hard to see this on camera because there's just a slight misadjustment on this bike. But the real problem is right here. You can see that the wheel, if you were sitting back on the bike, will be slightly to the left. So pretty much when I'm riding this bike, well, the bike slowly tilts this way. Now, for some people, this is not a big deal, but for me, this is actually pretty annoying because even though it's very minor, as a rider, you could definitely feel that something isn't right. So as long as you're sure that your forks aren't bent, your triple trees are straight, this particular method should work for you. Now, the first thing you want to do is make sure you got the bike in a straight position. I'm using this stand to do that for me. So pretty much we're going to have to unloosen all the bolts that are holding the front end. And the only ones we're not going to touch are the ones that are actually bolting down the top triple tree. One here and the other one right here. We're going to start off by loosening everything from the top all the way down to the bottom, starting with this here. Now, after you loosen this one here, we're gonna loosen the handlebar bolts. One here, and there's the other one on the other side. Then we're gonna be loosening the 4 bolts, 2 on the right and 2 on the left that are pretty much clamping on the forks from the bottom. Then we're gonna be loosening our caliper bolts on both right and left side, which are 4 in total. 2 on this side and 2 more on the other side. Then we're gonna loosen the fairing bolts. On this bike, we have 4 in total. 1 here, 1 in the back, and the other 2 are going to be on the exact same spots on the other side. Then we're going to be moving down to the axle bolts. You want to start on the left side in this case, starting off with these 2 here, and then you can loosen the big bolt, because if you start on the right side, what's going to happen when you loosen those first and you try to rotate the big nut on the axle, chances are the entire axle is going to spin while you try to take that off. So do this side last. And again, it just depends on the bike you're working on. All right, so now it's time for me to loosen all those bolts, and then I'll show you what's next. Okay guys, just to make it a lot easier for y'all to get access to the 4 bolts on the bottom of the triple tree, simply just remove these 2 10mm bolts on the bottom, and it'll be a lot easier to loosen those bolts at that point versus leaving this plastic part on and trying to stick a wrench between this little gap here on both sides. But I'll show you here how much more room you'll have once this piece is removed. As you can see, now you have a lot more room to get to those 2 bolts on the right side and on the left side. So big tip there, guys. All right, so I've already loosened my bottom triple tree bolts. They're already loosened enough where I can turn them by hand. All right, so the next bolts I'm gonna be loosening up are the caliper bolts on the right side. Okay, now moving on to the other side, do the exact same thing. And while I'm already on this side, I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this side of the fairing. Now in these newer Gixxers, the back bolt comes in from the inside and comes out, which kind of sucks because if you needed to take this front fairing off, the only way to take it off, unfortunately, is to get this front wheel off first, and then you can have access to those bolts. But luckily for us, all we're doing is loosening the bolt, not taking it all the way out. So what I have to do on this bike, remove this bolt completely, just where I can pull forward a little bit to get access to that back bolt. Okay, so I got both of those bolts loosened up. Now I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I got the front fairing completely loose now. Now we're gonna go ahead and move down to the axle. So we're gonna loosen these 2 first, and then this one here. Should be loose enough. Same on the other one. All right, and it is a lot easier if you're going downward instead of upward to remove this bolt. And then finally, we have the last 2 bolts on the other side. Okay, so once you loosen all the bolts, at this point, you want to make sure that the wheel is completely straight, because now we're going to have to get on the bike and bounce on it a little bit. All we're going to do is push down, straight down as much as possible. All right, so it's pretty much that simple. Once you push down firmly about 10 to 15 times, now at this point, all we gotta do is tighten everything back up and see how it rides. All right, we're gonna start on the left fork, because again, we wanna make sure that this axle is not moving when we're tightening it back up. All right, now moving on to the other side. And what I like to start off first on this side is the axle nut first. I wanna make sure first that this is tightened all the way to squeeze the two forks together onto the front rim, and then I can tighten these two back up. Now that that's tightened up, now I can move down to these two bolts. And I do want to say you don't need to over tighten these. All right, now it's time to tighten the back fairing bolt and put back the front one. And while I'm already on this side, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten my two caliper bolts. All right, now for the other side, I'm gonna start off on my fairing and then move on to the brake caliper on this side. Okay, so I've already tightened down the bottom triple tree bolts, the two on each side. Again, I wasn't able to show you that because just like earlier in the video, it's really hard to show you working on those on camera because of the angle of it. But once you get those tightened up, go ahead and move on to the handlebars. Okay, now finally moving on to the last bolt, which is the bolt that holds the top of the triple tree. We're just gonna turn the wheel. Therefore, it doesn't turn the front end while we're tightening this bolt. And just be really careful that you don't end up hitting your gas tank. All right, so now we got everything tightened up at this point, and now it's time to see how that front tire looks like. And now look at that. Not sure you can tell on camera the before and after, but I could already tell there's a difference. It actually lines up a lot better with the front headlight at this point. So I'm pretty confident once I ride this on the street, it's gonna feel a lot better at this point. And I would say if you did try this and you still have that misalignment, then chances are you probably have something damaged in the front. So this is gonna put an end to this video, guys. I really hope that this helps a lot of people out there. Like always, hit that like button for me if you like these kind of videos. And if you haven't subscribed already, please feel free to do so. I really appreciate the support. And of course, don't forget that God loves every single one of y'all. God bless all of y'all. And we'll see y'all on the next video.